We all ready to go, Jim? Okay. All right. Well, we'll start the meeting this evening. Welcome, everyone, for the Bensalem Township Council meeting. It's Monday night, April 13th. We're going to open the meeting with a moment of silent meditation or prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I would ask everyone to please stand. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I will go around the room and just to introduce everyone here at the table. I'll start with my left, Mr. Phil Worsta, Township Engineer, Deb McGreen, our Executive Secretary, Councilman Knowles, Councilman Wenzel, Councilman Tokmajian, is myself, Councilman Kisselback, Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo, Joe Pizzo, Solicitor, and Scott Holman, also Solicitor. Okay. And then also Councilman Sloan is running a few minutes behind. He had a family obligation, so he will be coming in a few minutes late. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, the real positive part of this evening. Julia, is Julia here this evening?
She's here.
Okay. All right. So we wanted to recognize you, Julia. So if you want to come up and we'll recognize you, the 2026 PIAA State Wrestling Champion.
Two-time. Three times. I'm sorry.
Come on, Julia. What's that, man? He looks like he's a wrestler. I don't wrestle. She wrestles.
He wrestles trees.
The trees win now. Well, Julia, come up here where we can really see you, okay? This third time, I understand.
Yeah.
This is not her first time, it's her third time as a champion. Congratulations on your third consecutive PIAA state championship title.
Thank you.
Your hard work and dedication has truly paid off. And from myself and the whole council that's here, and actually it's from the people of Bensalem for a great accomplishment that you have made. So we present this to you, and you can come here and get somebody to take a picture.
Yeah, we'll get
for
some
you.
pictures of fun. All right.
We're on it right here.
We'll get in the front. Joe and Joe, come up front. Let's get in the front. And Eddie, come on. Let's get all in there.
We'll get on here.
Come on.
Yeah.
I was with your brothers this weekend.
Which one, Billy?
They were drinking like a fish.
Go over to the microphone. You can talk to us about the line. Are you okay with it? Come.
She can do it.
They're live, dear. Here. Just tell us a little.
Just tell us. So where
Wrestling, where you're going to college.
where did you compete for the state championships? Where was that at?
Hershey,
Hershey.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm from
Connell?
Connell High School.
Okay.
I wrestle 106 pounds.
So,
I started at Bensalem Youth Program.
okay.
Yeah.
So were you in wrestling at Bensalem? Or no, you're Conwell wrestling?
Yeah, I wrestled at Bensalem my freshman year, and then
Okay.
I transferred to Conwell again.
Got it, okay. And then do you have a special move, wrestling move, that you typically?
She's not going to tell you, but of course she does.
I know. I was thinking Councilman Knowles might be volunteering. You can maybe show him the move.
I messed with her dad.
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite move's the inside trip.
All right, there you go.
Where you going? You got a scholarship to college?
Yeah, I'm going to Grand Valley State University in Michigan.
They have a good women's program?
Yeah, very good.
Did you get a scholarship there for the?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
3-time state champion.
Yeah.
I missed
That's
it.
great.
What's your favorite move? I'm sorry, I missed it.
An inside trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like freestyle. It's more of a freestyle move.
And her father's from Andalusia and her dad's from Cornwall. So that's how she's so good an athlete, you know? Right?
Mom, did you want to say anything real quick?
Thank you, guys.
No?
It's a privilege. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really proud to have you represent Bensalem, that's for sure. So
We're going to follow
the recognition.
college.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yep, absolutely. Recognition
Congratulations.
well deserved.
Thank you.
Congratulations
As you
again.
know, I come from a wrestling family also, and I know what a feat it is that you really achieved. I can relate to it, how unbelievable it is. So,
Yep.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was like the Schultzes. I come from wrestling guy, but they had 8.
Right? And
Yeah.
I was in 9th to 12th, so I had to wrestle to eat, you know, every night. You know what I mean? So we could just get to the table, you know?
Where'd you say you're going to college?
Grand Valley State.
It's in
It's
Michigan.
in
Yeah,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
It's got a real strong women's wrestling program.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Congratulations again. Well deserved. Well deserved.
She's so sweet in her,
Absolutely.
she's such a nice girl. You can't believe that she's a 3-time state champion in wrestling, you know?
Yep.
Look how nice you are.
All right, we're going to move on. I'm going to move on to, actually, I just want to interrupt real quick. Since Councilman Sloan's running a few minutes behind, I was hoping that maybe I could ask the council to just adjust the agenda, that we move agenda number 5 down to after number 7. If we don't, if council does not mind, and if that was okay, that I would need a motion to make that change.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Please.
We change agenda number 5 to 7A.
Perfect.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. A motion and second, and all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the flexibility there. Yeah, and the Horger family, the meeting's going to be extremely exciting. We have some really fascinating items on the agenda. You're more than welcome to stay, or you can go, you can head out. It's completely up to you. So, yeah. You got it. Absolutely, no problem. Okay. Bye-bye. She's the next wrestler. All right. Going to move to agenda number 3, the public comment, which is just limited to agenda items only. Any public comments for this evening? Only limited to agenda items. If it's general, we will have public comment at the end of the meeting too as well. Just want to. Okay, sure. Or I'll open it up at number 7 if you want to speak at that point. Okay. If you're okay with it. Okay, sure. I'll bring you up then. Okay, I'll close that portion of the public comment. Move to agenda number 4, the approval of council meetings for meeting March 23rd, 2026. Council members, any changes, additions, revisions? If not, motion would.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for March 23rd as presented.
Okay,
I
second.
have no issues. I'll second that.
Great. Motion second to approve those council minutes. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Okay, any against? Abstain? Okay. Deb, they're approved.
Thank you.
Yep. We moved to agenda number 5. I'm going to move to agenda number 6, which is listed on the agenda. The consideration in public hearing on an ordinance amending Chapter 225 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 7, Parking, Stopping, or Standing. Appendix A shall be amended to add the following restrictions. I'll turn this over to Mr. Pizzo. Do you have this one?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Tagmajian. The Township Administration had received some complaints regarding the parking of tractor trailers, in some cases just the trailers, in some cases just the tractors, in some cases both, along a portion of Tremont Avenue. As a result of that, the administration directed the traffic safety officer to perform a traffic evaluation. That evaluation verified the complaints, identified the serious parking issue causing sight distance problems at all of the driveways along that stretch of road, and recommended that both sides of the road be labeled or signed as being no parking, stopping, or standing anytime on both the eastbound and westbound sides of the 3100 block of Tremont Avenue. As a result, the ordinance before you was prepared. It was properly advertised in the Bucks County Courier Times and is in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. I have a couple questions real quick before I open it up. Are we aware this request came in from local businesses?
Yes.
Okay, so making this change won't affect their businesses themselves? Okay.
Yes.
I just wasn't sure if some of that truck parking was related to the businesses and maybe they just didn't have capacity.
No, what happens is tractor trailer drivers who choose not to take advantage of the truck stops or other facilities available to them find suitable space, and suitable in the sense that it'll accommodate their truck, and have different locations in the township will park them overnight. When the township becomes aware of them, we take enforcement action, and unfortunately, when you deal with it at one location, eventually they'll find another location. So this became the newest location in that part of the township.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it was clearly, there's an issue there. Yes.
Totally cleaned up last week. The owner finally cleaned it up.
Oh, that's great. All the wooded area in the back at the end of the
Yeah.
street. Yeah, okay.
Now, I know there's a few homes over in that area. Will this affect like weekend parking for them, or can we add like?
This will not. This
Okay.
is strictly that
Just a stretch where
where
it's
the light
strictly
industrial
businesses?
businesses are.
Okay,
To where it
perfect.
to where it dead ends into that wooded property.
Mr. Prizzo, one other quick question too as well,
Certainly.
since you brought it up. I recognize it was an issue at the Chamonix Mall at some point, and it almost seems as if there's a need, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there was a site that someone was looking at putting down off of Bristol Pike, or maybe it was State Road, to allow, legally, to allow truck parking because of the demand. It almost seems as if there's, a lot of trucks are coming into this area. Yeah, maybe it was a couple years ago. I don't.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a guy that was in Northeast Philly, and he was supposed to build a facility down by State Road and Street Road, but he backed out of the deal.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Actually, that project is still
Still afloat?
underway. He does have land development approvals for that project.
But he was parking there. We just stopped him because he was supposed to develop that as a parking area.
Yep.
You're talking off a street road back in
Yeah,
Providence?
State
That's
Road,
right,
Street
yeah,
Road,
yeah.
Yeah, well, he's been stopped because he was supposed to put curbs, not sidewalks in that area, but curbs.
Yep.
And the lot was
Striped.
supposed to be developed for that. He just started parking. It's a 3-acre site.
Yeah, he's supposed to put fencing in and all.
Yeah,
That's
small
correct, a
building.
small
Yep.
building
Yeah,
with the
right.
rest
And
of
we had
the
fencing going in.
It was going to maybe accommodate some of these trucks that are
Yeah.
looking for this space.
It's nil right now. He's been cited. He can't go on the property.
Yeah, got it. Okay, all right. All right,
Hopefully.
thank you. Any other questions, comments from council? If none, I will open the floor for the consideration of putting up a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to enforce Chapter 225 and add the no parking, standing, stopping, anytime signs on Tremont Ave, eastbound and westbound on the 3100 block of Tremont Ave.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. There's a motion and second. Mr. Sloan, there's a motion and a second for agenda number 6 for the consideration of the no parking signs on Tremont Ave, just so you know what you're voting for. To give you an update. Okay. Okay, motion and second, and all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate it. Okay. We are going to move to, also, just so you're aware, we did move agenda number 5 to the end. Okay. We're going to move to agenda number 7, the consideration of a minor subdivision for the applicant, Mr. Alexander, located on Wunder Avenue, tax parcel 02-005-187-001. Who's got this one? Okay.
That would be me.
Okay, you have anything you want to add before the applicant comes?
Not much to add yet. This is just a residential 2-lot subdivision, minor subdivision application. They are represented by Attorney Michael McGinnis, who is here on behalf of the applicant.
Thanks. Okay. Mike.
All right, good evening. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here tonight on behalf of Mike Alexander, who is also with me for consideration of a 2-lot minor subdivision. I have John Richardson to my right from Dumac Engineering, and we have the plan before you on the overhead. Mr. Alexander owns the subject property, which is just under a half acre and fronts along Wunder Avenue. The property is zoned in the R2 district, and John, do you have an existing conditions that we can flip to? It's currently improved with a structure, as you can see on the extreme right side of the property, the plan right, which is in significant disrepair. Our plan is to create 2 regularly shaped lots. Did not try to squeeze in a 3rd lot. The R2 district permits a 7,500 square foot minimum lot size. This is approximately 20,000 square feet. So the end result of this, once it's approved, would be the creation of 2 lots, which are approximately 10,000 square feet in size, which would be served by public water and sewer and would possess 2 single-family detached dwellings. We have worked with WK2 during the pendency of this project. The remaining review comments are quite minimal. Everything that's left is either a will comply, a waiver request, or relates to a fee in lieu. I'll have Mr. Richardson go over the plan in greater depth, and then we're happy to go through the review letters and the waivers we're seeking. Thank you.
Good evening. As Mr. McGinnis said, we're planning on subdividing the property into 2 single-family residential lots. They're relatively equal in terms of size and nature. The site is currently at the belly of a drainage feature along Wunder Avenue. And there's a weird little bump in the pavement. The township recently installed some drainage improvements down there. They put in some curb and some additional inlets and some piping right to the side of the drawway for Lot 2. There's a significant amount of water that drains down through the site from up above. We are planning on capturing that water in the rear lots of the residents so it doesn't drain through their entire yards. We're going to capture that drainage. We're going to bring it around and down out to Wunder Avenue. In terms of the drainage that we're creating, we are proposing a dry well in the front yards to manage the stormwater that we generate on site. The dry well's denoted by this hatched area here. The purpose of that dry well is to minimize the effects of the impervious surfaces that we're creating on the lot. As the township engineers review letter notes, not only are we decreasing the amount of runoff from the site, but those numbers actually don't compare what's out there now. Those numbers actually compare to a pristine meadow condition. As we saw earlier, the existing site has a garage and a driveway on it. So the numbers that are represented by our calculations and repeated in the WK2 letter, the actual reduction in stormwater runoff will be even more dramatic than that because, once again, those numbers compare a pristine meadow, not the existing condition that's actually out there, to what we propose. The driveway or the dry well that we're proposing will run out to the street to the existing storm drainage that the township recently installed. As part of the land development, we're proposing street trees along the frontage. as shown here. Water and sewer will both be connected to the existing public system located along Wunder Avenue. We do have several waivers that we're requesting. I don't think any of the waivers are abnormal or overly significant. And we are requesting fee in lieu of curb, sidewalk, and road widening.
I'll note just as a brief housekeeping item, because of the time that it took from submission to being here this evening, you'll note that the Bucks County Planning Commission review letter is dated in 2023. There have been subsequent plan submissions made to the township since that review letter was tendered. So some of the comments in that review letter are now will complies such that the waiver requests that we're seeking are accurately depicted in the latest WK2 letter that has been provided. I will also note, I think the County Planning Commission letter was commenting regarding the street trees, and as John just indicated, we are doing everything we can to plant street trees now along the frontage. The other note that I would make is obviously with the two-lot subdivision, there's not an association, but because of the dry well feature covering both lots, there will be a shared maintenance agreement that will be tendered to your solicitor for review, which would jointly obligate both property owners to make sure that that is maintained in perpetuity in the future. That would also be noted within the O&M agreement that's provided by the township for stormwater maintenance to provide the township with enforcement rights. So you indicated we're happy to go through any of the comments or the review letters or the waivers if it's council's pleasure.
Let me make sure I understood what you said. It's just stormwater management responsibility is being shared by both the homeowners.
That's right. So typically for residential development, you either have an on-lot stormwater system, or typically if you have a larger development, it's managed by an association. Because this is a two-lot subdivision where the stormwater facilities cover both properties, in order to make sure they're maintained correctly, we're going to have an agreement that not just provides enforcement rights to the township, but also an obligation that's an affirmative obligation on both property owners to maintain these stormwater facilities.
What's the value of doing that versus just requiring independent water management for each one of the single homes, and then enforcing our own township code if for some reason something goes wrong in terms of water management? Because quite frankly, I'm not considering this a subdivision. It's a, you're subdividing a lot and you're building two homes. It's not a, development per se, so.
Yeah, we were viewing it as an additive aspect to the township to make sure that if Lot A, for whatever reason in the future, wasn't maintaining the system because it crosses the property line, that Lot B and both property owners, since it would be recorded against the property, would be aware that this is an obligation that is possessed. If it's the township's preference just to make sure that the Lot 2 property owner is responsible for their portion and Lot 1 is responsible for their portion and is depicted in the township review letters and O&M agreements, that's fine as well.
Does that get, for the agreement, does that get filed with the county, with the
It does,
deed?
yes.
Yeah, but the issue is, as the years go by and the homes get sold, and a lot of times the property owners aren't even aware of those agreements. When they close on a house, they're not reading the fine print of the deed.
That's true,
So
unfortunately.
I share Councilman Tokmajian's skepticism of a single stormwater management system for two different properties.
I disagree with that premise in that you have the two homes, they're sharing the same system. So if one part of the system goes bad, is an individual on the left responsible for it because it percolates more water on the left? Or is it the one on the house on the right because it's flooding on the right side? Because it's all the one system itself.
Yeah.
So it's no different than if you had a...
That's part of the problem, is who's responsible.
If I could, this would be the same concept as when you approve a shared driveway. Ultimately, we would expect that each homeowner will take care of the part that's on their side. However, the agreement is written so that it puts the equal obligation to maintain on both homeowners. The important thing here from the township's perspective is that it is a single dry well that operates as a single stormwater management facility. And it is, as far as the township would typically be, typically concerned with handling something like this, the obligation falls equally on both homeowners for the maintenance of the entirety. And if the township has to go out under our operation and maintenance agreement to maintain it because the property owners have failed to do so, we're going to look to both homeowners to be responsible for reimbursing the township for its costs. So the agreement sort of forces the old adage, good fences makes good neighbors. The agreement makes sure that you don't have one property owner saying no and the other one saying
And
yes.
then the first time they have a fight, then they don't take care of it, you have an issue. That's going to be part of the problem. Now, my question here is, right there, we have an inlet all the way around. Are we still going to keep that inlets in, or are we eliminating them completely?
Those are proposed inlets.
Huh?
Those are proposed inlets.
Okay, so we're going to keep them in along with the front? There's fencing along the front of the property too. Is that going in as well with the trees, or are you eliminating that because of the trees?
The fencing is being eliminated.
So it's going to be the fencing and the trees?
I'm sorry.
The fencing and the trees?
There's
The drawing shows fencing going from here to here, right across the front of the property.
no, that's an existing fence.
That's the exit, so that fence is
Well,
staying?
there's no proposed fence on
Okay.
the frontage.
All right, so you're going to eliminate that?
And if John can address why the stormwater was designed that way in the frontage, it might be useful from an engineering standpoint.
So generally speaking, we try to design.
Well, Mr. Worcester, so my question for you as a township engineer, a couple questions. Number one, is the dry well going to work? You know, we've got a clay soil all over the place that doesn't really absorb any of the stormwater. That's why a lot of our roads and yards and stuff get flooded. So number one, is that going to be effective? Number two, if it is it possible or does it make sense to split that into two different dry wells, one for each property, and they operate independently, or is this more conducive? I foresee lots of problems between neighbors fighting over who's actually responsible, financially responsible, if something does go wrong. And we've seen that time and time again in this township on things like shared driveways and stuff. I would prefer to avoid that situation, which is kind of why I'm asking about, you know, splitting them up potentially.
The specifics of the two together and the stormwater as it's laid out by the applicant should be effective, should work. The issue of the thing together is simply to make sure that the township can intervene and take advantage, as Mr. Pizzo had suggested, to fix it ourselves. We've come, if someone has a fight and stormwater impacts the other one, then we could come in and do something about it. If you have two, it'll work as well, but it'll be separate individual ones. If one doesn't maintain what they're supposed to maintain, then the township would need another type of operating agreement to be able to go in and say, we're going to take care of that.
Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have one, it's one basin, correct? That's sitting in the front yard, that's combined? So what happens, the elevation of those two properties, theoretically, you would expect that the southern property is going to get the impact of the water coming from the northern property. So wouldn't it make more sense to try to capture as much water as you could in that northern home before it hits that second home?
Well, for the specifics of the design, I think that Mr. Richardson should comment on that.
If I may, so the drainage is actually not like along the road so much. It's more from the rear of the lots out to the street. So it's more, it's kind of 90 degrees to what you were just referring to. In addition, in regard to splitting it up or leaving it how we have it where it's one, generally speaking, we like to allow the dry wells to some outlet. So they don't have to be filled up and everything infiltrates, or, you know, if you have some kind of humongous, abnormally large storm that would potentially overfill them because they're beyond the design parameters. There's an existing pipe that runs down along the frontage. that comes down through here. That pipe, we didn't want to take a pipe from our lot directly out to the street. In fact, the township engineer office asked us not to do that. So what we did is we wanted to be able to drain this dry well out to the street. We couldn't come out and connect it into this pipe. So we have to come down here to where these existing inlets are. So what we did is by linking it together, we can have one outlet out to the street.
John, can you point with the highlighter, because you're, or is it showing up on your
It's
screen?
showing up
Okay.
there, yeah.
Okay, so you only have outlet on the house on the right.
Correct, only lot 2 has an outlet out to the street.
Is that going to be able to handle the flow of both those homes?
Yes, that design has been reviewed by township engineer. We provided calculations for that.
And instead of, because essentially what you're telling me is that instead, if you looked at doing it the other way, you would have 2 outlets coming from each of those properties. The one northern property, you would hope that would hit that drain that's at that street at the southern property.
I think what you're asking is if we let it bubble up out of the dry well and across to the next lot?
Well, no, if you had it independent of each other, you're going to have 2 outlets coming out from each one
We'd
of the street.
have more pipe.
Right, right.
I mean,
And
you know, the way we were looking at this at the time was that it's not needed. And this is the most efficient way to do it. And if you,
Wow, it's not quite football season yet, Dad.
I mean, if it remained a single lot, I'd agree with you, but we're
Yeah,
talking about a
I'm with
subdivision.
you. This is I'm with Jesse on this one. This is a split lot. The second this clogs and it backs up here, and if something happens in here, this guy's gonna be fighting with this guy. And they could be great the first 4 or 5 years, and then this guy moves out, and they have a whole new neighbor, and then they have one little fight, and we have issues. So it's not the most neighbor-friendly system we have here. Like, this isn't 2 different properties. We pretty much just said, hey, this is gonna be one property we're gonna share, and then we're gonna put 2 houses on it. That's the way I'm looking at it right now.
One other quick question,
Well,
too.
wait, hold on. My first question was not answered yet, so I'm curious about the clay.
I don't know about the clay.
So
For anyone that lives in Bensalem and they go to dig anything in their yard, they'll hit clay
I mean,
within like 2
specifically with
inches.
regard to these soil conditions.
A lot, I don't know.
So we actually did soil test out there.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that the dry well appears so large relative to the size of the houses or driveway is because there is a layer of relatively beneficial soils for infiltration, but they're not very deep. So the system has to be squished down so it spreads it out, which is actually beneficial. That's what the PADEP recommends. You want to spread out your infiltration.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why the system looks so big on paper is because it's not overly deep, because it's spread out to keep it shallow where we got infiltration rates.
And I think just as a note in communicating with Mr. Alexander, I don't think we have a preference. We can split it. I think this was a result of communications about what the ideal design would be. If the township's preference is that these are bifurcated and they're 2 separate systems, we don't particularly care, I think is an accurate statement.
You can make a pipe off of lot 1 and put that into pipe 2.
We can split the dry well, give like a 5-foot break at the property line, bring out the dry well from lot 1. It would still have to cross lot 2, but it would be just a pipe as an outlet pipe, and bring it over to where the inlets are. We can split the dry wells apart.
How different is this than just initiating a homeowner's agreement?
It's the same concept, Mr. Kisselbeck. It's just obviously would relate to 2 properties instead of a group.
As opposed to development?
That's right, yeah.
And then is there anything else that could be added onto that homeowner's agreement that would supplement that part of it?
Well, on top of the agreement between the 2 property owners, the township would still have a separate O&M agreement that would be supplied that would also have to be recorded against the property. And that's what provides the township with independent enforcement rights. So there would be 2 documents. One would be the standard O&M agreement with the specifics outlined, and the other would be a bilateral agreement between the private property owners in the event that this is the system that's maintained.
But if you split them up, right, which the majority of the board seems to be consistent on. So if you split them up, I'm not an engineer, but if you split them up then you need an agreement with lot one, an agreement with lot two, two separate agreements, and then you're done, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, then just, you're going to have to do it that way, apparently, you know?
Just one other quick question in terms of stormwater management. Was there any consideration for putting rain gardens in the backyard to try to mitigate the flow from the backyard to the front?
Generally speaking, we try to avoid rain gardens. Most of the time, I've been involved in numerous projects where rain gardens were designed, and then the homeowners get tired of them, their maintenance, and they tend to fail over time and draw mosquitoes. So we regularly get called in to redesign rain gardens after, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. So to be honest, no, we generally like to do dry wells instead of rain gardens.
Got it. All right. I'll turn to council. Any further questions?
My question would be, can you divide these and do it tonight? Or you have to go back and redo the plans and come back? I don't know.
In order to divide the dry well to provide some separation at the property line, yeah, we would have to revise the plans, revise the calculations.
Well, that's up to, I mean, it just seems like they want
I think
that done.
conceptually, it would be similar. It would still be a dry well along the front. It would almost be a technical change.
Hang on 2 seconds. Mr. Pizer or Scott, I mean, if council decides to move forward with splitting this, would you recommend that we table this, or would it be acceptable to approve it contingent on approval of the water management by our township engineer?
Yeah, this is something that you could, it would be a conditional approval, that you could approve it, subject to condition exactly, that they properly divide the stormwater management, create two systems.
Yep.
Calculations are reviewed and approved by the township engineer, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And it would not require any additional waivers either that would necessitate.
Okay, good.
Can you explain this to me so I know exactly what it means? On the Bucks County Planning Commission, I'm looking at the page 2, and it's section B, 196-31, parentheses K. To permit 14-hour drainage time from the end of the design storm instead of the required 24-72 hours required drainage time.
So that was based on a older plan. That plan has been revised to the plan that's in front of you now.
Okay,
So that waiver no longer applies.
Then why'd you make me read it?
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
So just to clarify, though, the waivers, the complete waivers is listed on the YK2, and they're all still accurate as submitted this evening.
That's correct.
One through 6, right?
That's right.
And then you have to include, can I have another question? Can I have a question?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, go
My question
ahead.
would be, if we do these waivers, okay, like on 6, it doesn't name the amounts. Are the amounts already determined that that's what they owe, or are they going to be based on approval from our engineer?
Predetermined, we determined.
You determined them already?
They're
okay.
noted in the body.
I just want to make sure you guys didn't make them up, you know what I mean? You got it from somewhere, okay? And I would say it would be accurate, but I wanted to make it conditioned upon our engineer approving the amounts. Okay, great. So we have to add the amounts.
Great. Councilman Wenzel?
I did see here, back in 2023, Battalion Chief Sponheimer said submit that with address request to the township. Was that completed?
That would be completed after it's approved, and then an address would be assigned.
Any further questions from council?
How do these lots compare in size to the neighboring properties?
I know the minimum lot size is 7,500.
No, not the minimum.
Right, understood.
The actual lot sizes.
It's almost 10,000 square foot. At least it can be for 3. Yeah, so at least but it's tight.
Just for that zoning area, 7,500 is the minimum.
I'm not asking what the minimum is. I'm asking what the neighborhood is.
That is an aerial photograph of the site, or the neighborhood. Our site's in the center of it. I would say that our lot size is pretty typical for the surrounding area. We're obviously larger than some and smaller than some, but I would say it's pretty typical.
How big is your lot?
Looks like.
almost 10,000 square feet.
So it's 2,500 more than it has to be, so.
Again, not asking what it has to be per code, asking what it is compared to the surrounding homes. I don't care. That's my question.
Well, he said it's about the same. I want to make sure that I think it's properly written.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'll open it to public comment.
Hello, my name's Linda Dudek. We live directly across the street from this. Our main concern is the water, because I know 10, 15 years ago, another house was built on that extension of that property, and immediately the flooding became worse. The township had to go in and put in more stormwater drains. This winter, the only reason the stormwater drains worked is because my husband had to go out and clear them 4 or 5 times this year. Are the neighbors going to clear them when they live over there is a concern, because if they don't clear them, then the water's going to come into my garage. I like the way they have their driveways opposite, not near mine. But when someone said it should work, that was a little scary, that it should work. So I, as long as they're not, if they raise the ground level any bit, an inch or whatever, it's going to drain through my yard, because when they built behind me, whatever that development did, instead of water going through my backyard, now it sits in my backyard, because they were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. So
So your situation is not ideal as far as water on your property at this time, is that correct?
it gets, in the back, it gets a little flooded,
You said you're across the street,
directly across the street.
so like that house right there?
Yep. Well, it could be the one in the middle.
Mr. Dudek, so let me say this. With our land development, the developer is required to ensure that they put in place stormwater management
Yeah.
to handle the increase in the impervious space. And as you can see up here this evening, that all of us have been asking questions about the stormwater
I'm
management,
just-
because we're very
Like,
well.
that's our major
aware.
concern, and
Understood, yeah.
You'll get a phone call when it doesn't work.
And,
As far as your
Right, yep,
As
that's,
far as your
yep, that's right.
calculations, it looks to us that all the runoff summary is less.
That's right.
Less flow
Yep.
from the property than it is today.
And if
Not by
it,
much, it's pretty close.
and if it's, and
I
if
mean,
it's
if
not.
you've never been down on our street, it rains.
Hold on, Mike.
It flows, because 2, 3 developers before just plugged up the creek where the water's supposed to go. So it's, the more that gets built, the more that backs up.
It sounds like there might be less an issue with the particular property as it is with maintaining the existing stormwater drains.
Well, I
Keeping
mean,
those open and
whatever
clear,
needs
is
to be
that what it
done
is?
to make sure it gets, I mean, we just got brand-new stormwater drains
Right.
last summer, because the old ones fell apart. So,
If you happen to see them and there's issues and they get clogged up, we would encourage you to reach out to the township,
okay,
Yeah.
please.
Absolutely.
Yep,
alrighty,
all right?
thank you.
Okay, all
Thank
right,
you very
absolutely.
much.
Thank you for coming out. Yes, yep,
There's another.
we have another, oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, Mike. Let me finish public comment. Did you also want to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
Yep, sorry about that. I didn't.
It's all right. My name's Raymond Dudek. I'm her husband. One of the problems at our property is because you have slopes coming down on both sides. We had one bad storm in the early 2000s. Everything froze over, everything, ground, road, driveways, everything. And not just our area, all over. And then it dumped real hard. It literally filled up that street, and it got into our garage. The water was standing about this tall in our garage. Next door to us, 4890, it literally went into the house up over their step. I think that one sits a little lower. But that's one of the problems, that if you get a bad storm like that, which it happened once, it can happen again. And it doesn't take the water because it just backs up and builds up.
Yep.
One of the main things we were wondering is how much dirt are they going to put to build these houses in? Is it going to be like really sloped and now it's pushing water over to our side? Plus, if they build it at the same level as us and that happens again, they're going to get flooded out for sure. Because it is, it's all flat right there at both sides.
Yep.
So that's our concern about it.
Understood.
Of course, we don't want to get flooded out again.
Yep. Got it.
So
Okay.
it's there, but all the time it doesn't work. Most of the time, yes, it does work.
Let me
And they've
ask
probably
this.
seen
Has it
rainwater.
worked since the new drain's been replaced?
The new drain, and most of the time it drains everything fine.
Okay.
Most of the time, but you get these weird storms, unfortunately, it backs up because it can't get rid of it.
Yep.
And you get, water standing in the street in the yard.
Understood.
Unfortunately. I mean, they probably don't see it. You probably don't see it because you're not there.
We live in this township. We see the water issues that we have in this township. So, yep.
Unfortunately, you got this, so.
Yep. Understood. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Mike, did you have one final thing?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important, perhaps it would make the neighbors feel a little bit better. Unlike a lot of applications, we actually have a reduction currently with this proposal of impervious surface on this site. And a couple years ago, when you would submit a land development application, you would say we're reducing the impervious surface. That should allow us to not have to install any stormwater controls because they're going to get less runoff after we develop this than they are presently because we're cutting impervious surface and adding green space. But in this instance, we are, in addition to reducing the impervious surface, we have designed the stormwater controls as if this was just grass right now. So for anyone who's experiencing runoff, and they might be relative to the site now, you are A, getting a reduction of impervious from it is right now, and then on top of that, the stormwater controls are designed to pretend like this was a meadow presently. So I do think that's if I was a neighbor along Wunder Avenue, I would be heartened by the fact that there is both a reduction on top of the stormwater system.
Understood. Can you just real quick explain what you mean by you're reducing the impervious? So is there a foundation that's on that second property?
Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
So compared to an empty lot.
I understand. I didn't realize that the second property had impervious already on it.
Right there.
So everything that's got the cross or the hatch lines in it, that's all impervious surface.
So it should be a big improvement, actually.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. I will, any further items from council? If not, I will turn it over to council for a motion to accept and approve and/or deny.
All right, I will make a motion to,
Sorry.
got all the waivers here, so bear with me. I make a motion to approve minor subdivision of Wunder Avenue property, tax parcel 02-005-187-001 with the requested waivers. Section 201-41D9 to not require all existing sewer lines, water lines, fire hydrants, utility transmission lines, culverts, bridges, railroads, or other man-made features within the proposed subdivision and/or land development within 400 feet of the boundaries of the proposed subdivision and/or land development. Section 201-87A, permit combined preliminary and final submission. Section 201-104B1, provide frontage widening and curbing. Section 201-110B to not require curbs and cartway widening. Section 201-111A sidewalks with I believe it's a fee in lieu of for curbs and sidewalks.
13.
And then let's see, section 196-61B1 permit HDPE and PVC pipes instead of reinforced concrete pipes, and allow pipes smaller than 18 inches. All of this conditional on revised stormwater management that reflects bifurcated dry wells or bifurcated stormwater management facilities on each independent property, subject to the review and approval by the township engineer.
Jess, I think there's a little fee up not widening the street, so it's 800.
Yes, thank you. And a fee in lieu of for the widening.
Not widening.
For the not widening of the roadway.
Thank
I'll
you.
second the motion.
Comprehensive motion and second it. I'm just going to turn to Mr. Holman or Mr. Pizzo. Can you just ensure that we've captured everything with that motion, please?
We have all the waivers, just want to make sure we had all the required fees. There's a fee in lieu of $2,000 for the recreational land. We mentioned the widening of the street and the curbing. There's also a fee in lieu and a fee in lieu for not to install sidewalks. And the last item is a traffic impact fee in the amount of $597.82.
Okay, I will amend my motion to make sure all of those fees are included.
Scott, is it sufficient, the wording for putting the separate lots?
Yes, because part of this is conditioned upon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Comment, please, regarding,
Well, hold on. I amended my motion. We need an amended second.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Phil?
just to make sure that includes everything in the township engineer's letter regarding fees.
Yes, and will comply with everything in the township engineer's letter dated April 6, 2026, as well as will comply with any remaining issues from the Bucks County Planning Commission letter dated November 29, 2023.
All right, hold on, before you make the amendment again.
And one more item too, just the submission of legal descriptions for the new lots in advance of the deeds for our review.
Okay, including the required descriptions there for legal review.
Okay, Mr. Kisselback, you want to amend again?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Third time.
Thank you very much.
It's a lot in this one.
Any questions, comments with the motion on the floor? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor for that, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, it's been approved.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. and Mrs. Dudek, I would just ask that if you do foresee any particular issues, that you please reach out to the Township Building and Planning and/or the mayor's office. The mayor's right here this evening. So if you do, in fact, experience any particular issues, whether it's post-development or whether it's during construction, please be sure to reach out and let someone know.
Yeah, like Mr. Todd said, we need that drain. And you know, you don't have to do that yourself. Just call and we'll get it done for you.
And we had a lot of snow this year.
Yeah,
We did.
I know.
We did.
Everybody
Yep.
does their own bit. You're
Thank
not
you.
required.
Okay. Yep. All right, we're going to move to the last item on the agenda, which we had moved, which is the consideration of a resolution expressing support for the Bensalem Economic Development Corporation engaging tip strategies to develop an economic revitalization plan for Bensalem Township. I would call up and ask that Mr. Norkus please approach the stand to give us a brief description on this. And Mr. Norkus, before you start, I didn't think that last agenda item would go as long, so I certainly appreciate your flexibility. I apologize for the delay, and thank you so very much for waiting for the end.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm delighted to be able to give you a brief overview of what we have in mind at the EDC. We're faced with, I think, what most communities in the country and a lot of them around the world are faced with, and that's a new economy. It has changed things radically, and we know where we are in that transition, but we really don't know where we're going. It's not finished yet. So with that in mind, the effect that it has on our communities is substantial. And we find that as an organization, we really have to adapt. We have to change because we no longer change smokestacks and reward them with money to come to our community. The whole dynamic has changed, really. The best of the companies are now looking at communities where labor is available. And that's just one small example of the difference in what we have been doing as economic developers are faced with. And that holds true for Chamber of Commerce organizations and similar organizations. So faced with the change that is necessary, we have 13 members on our committee, and if we were to ask the 13 members what direction should we go in, we'd probably have 13 different answers because it's just so difficult. So I suggested that we turn to some expertise, and we found through a bidding process that we were able to get like 5 or 6 really substantial companies to answer our submission for an analysis. And then after physical in-person meetings, interviews with the firms, we actually settled on one called TIP Strategies, which is out of Houston. And the fact that they're distant really doesn't challenge us because most of the meetings are conducted online, although they certainly do come to the community when appropriate. Be a lot of that taking place up front. The goal is simply to come up with a plan that is not get stacked on a shelf, but with something that's orchestrated for implementation. I have a very firm position on that, and I will ensure that that takes place. TIP Strategies is familiar with this issue. They specialize in it. And we have a really good feeling about the working relationship. In short, having selected them, we were confronted with the need to get a loan, an application for a grant filed with the state of Pennsylvania as soon as possible because the deadline was April 1st. And that application process is not geared for crybabies. It's quite an ordeal. And they give you a checklist and they give you a guide. Unfortunately, in that process, what happened was, although the EDC provided resolution, it wasn't noted that a resolution from the council was desired. It was a verbal thing midway through the process. And that's why we're like where we are today after the submission and asking for a resolution. And I think that the reason why the state wants a resolution is because they don't want to be in an unenviable position of going down the road and having the council say, wait a minute, we didn't agree to this. We don't support it necessarily. We don't know that much about it. So yeah, I provided a draft resolution based on similar resolutions that councils have supplied to the state. And it's rather short and sweet. And the reason for that is that we're not asking the council for anything other than support and to let you know that there is no funding involved. The grant that we're after is a 50-50 grant. If we're awarded the grant, it will pay for half of the consultant fee, which is about $110,000. We don't expect to be finished with the consultants until first quarter of next year. And the reason for that is that it's extensive. It will involve the township, the residents, primary stakeholders, and anybody else that we can think of to be involved, including your organization, because we want this thing done right, absolutely right. We want support, broad support from everyone in the township. So before you, I have a memorandum that I sent out. I think it was emailed to you. It addressed the purpose, the background, and the need, why we chose TIP strategies, the role of the EDC, and our core focus areas. It also highlighted the benefit and financial responsibility and a recommendation. And the recommendation was that the council approve a pretty straightforward resolution so that I could submit it to the state late, but in time for the approval process. They take April and May to go through the submitted applications. I feel rather good about our application because we were diligent with state support and we followed every single key item when we submitted, and they all turned out to be very favorable, clear, and precise. So I think absent your resolution, we're likely to get the loan.
Thank you, Mr. Norkus. Before I turn to council, you said the 50-50 grant, the cost is 110, right? So if it's a 50-50 grant, who covers the other half?
The EDC is covering it.
The EDC is covering
Yeah,
it?
absolutely, yeah.
Got it.
Thank you, that was my next question.
Yeah, I figured that was a question with all, yeah, so I figured, let me ask that up
Because
front.
you said nothing.
Yeah.
You said nothing here.
And then one other question that I have, this study, or how does it affect or will it impact any current projects that are, currently ongoing within Bensalem? Will it impact it or have any negative or positive impact on any of those
Well,
projects?
I wouldn't say negative, I would say positive, because, what's occurring out right now should be in stone. But the opportunity for anything from day one forward is enormous.
And then one other question. I know we do a comprehensive plan here at the township
Yes.
level. So will this coordinate and look at that
Absolutely.
comprehensive plan?
Absolutely. As far as I know, the comprehensive plan is not completed for its current cycle. I don't know where it is, but with TIP strategies, they would analyze any comprehensive plan, existing or previous, to make sure that we're not missing a beat. Yeah, that can't be overlooked.
I agree with you. I'm glad you said that. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly why the township needs to be a key stakeholder. And over and above that, conducting a plan like this will encourage the EDC to work even closer with the township, which is a good thing. And as a caveat, we've also not donated, but we're paying for the same company to help us reorganize the EDC in keeping with the new economy now and well into the future. And the fee for that is $10,000, which we are paying directly. Why them? Why pay someone? Because we don't have the expertise. They have the association with what's happening out there worldwide, really. In fact, I was talking to the Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce the other day, and the new executive director there, we really hit it off, and she told me that they're going through the same thing, and I thought, whew, I don't feel so alone right now. It's great. Mm-hmm. On top of that, she might jump on, and in parallel, we might do this because we are part of Southeastern Chamber.
Got it.
So
Okay.
It's all good stuff. It's very exciting, and it's how can I say this? I don't think a lot of people are investing in the change that's necessary.
Got it.
I think the fact that we're in it, maybe not on top of it yet, but in it, is very advantageous for our community, business community, and residential community.
Thank you. I'll turn to my fellow council members to see if they have any questions.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Mr. Norquist, first of all, thank you for coming out and your flexibility. I
My
apologize,
pleasure.
things got moved around because I was delayed.
Yeah.
My son was playing in an elementary school concert
No
tonight.
problem. So
I-
I only ask that, and I'll give you the reasoning behind it. I'm speaking to the state, and I said, listen, we're a little bit late on this because we missed it by one day for, March, to catch your March meeting. So we're looping a little bit forward. So with all due respect, I am eager to have the document to send to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a couple comments and questions. So I appreciate it. I really like what this is doing, the strategy. It mentioned that one of the key components is identification of industry clusters aligned with community strengths. And I'm reading that thinking, well, what about the weaknesses? We want to also identify where the weak areas are. And I do see that as being one of the core focus areas. And I was hoping you could comment a little bit. It talks about commercial and corridor revitalization, repositioning aging commercial properties, reuse of underutilized sites. We have a lot of vacant properties in the township, even vacant commercial spaces. And I'm wondering how this all fits into that, trying to identify those as potential targets and what potential uses and things like that. Does that all get incorporated into this?
Absolutely, and that's one of the core goals of the whole thing is aging. And that, again, I'm saying this for a reason. There's a lot of people that say, well, Bensalem, we have these old shopping centers and we have this old this. Everybody has them.
Sure.
So the question is, what are people doing that is effective? Let's not take 6 months or 9 months to try and figure it out. Let's go find out what people are doing.
Yeah.
So I can say that I believe that the better that we make the community, the more things that we address successfully, the more we're leveraging the older centers as far as competition is concerned. That's one option, but tell me what the other ones are. I don't know.
Right.
That's why we have to fall back to these people. And incidentally, the real estate market, commercial real estate market, I don't know how many commercial realtors we have, but I know Roddy is a substantial one. So him and people like him will be part of this process too, so that we can assess the products that we have available for different type things. And clusters are very important. They're very big right now. But we don't know exactly what our talent pool is to accommodate those clusters. However, let's not look at Bensalem Township. Let's look at a broader circle and see what kind of talent that we have to pull into this cluster, whatever it turns out to be.
Sure. Okay. That's helpful. It does mention here provide regular reporting to Township Council.
Yes.
Can you comment on what that cadence of reporting is going to look like?
Well, I'm kind of fanatical about that kind of stuff, so I would not want to inundate you, but I can assure you that as time goes by, there's not much you won't be aware of.
Okay. And then one of the last things in your memo, which kind of raised my hackles a little bit, that the authorization will send a signal that Bensalem is open for business.
Mm-hmm.
Curious what you mean by open for business.
Well,
we're not a business, we're a municipal government.
we are, but we are open for business in a business sense. And I think we're talking about business in general out there, what their perception is of whether or not we're open for business or not. Or
For businesses to
we
come
have
in
walls?
and-
Do we
okay.
have walls up? Or do we have a plan? What is Bensalem going to look like in 10, 15 years? I mean, if these are intelligent people going to ask those kind of questions.
So then let me follow up that question with, will they look at our municipal code and look at what are barriers to business? that we have?
Absolutely, and that's
Okay.
why part of this has to be looking, and it doesn't say it here, but it says it in the contract with TIP, which is not executed yet.
Yeah.
But it says it in there that code, et cetera,
Okay.
has to be looked at, because you can't conjure up something based on opposition to code, you know what I mean?
I completely agree.
Like we're business friendly, we say we're business friendly, so.
Hold, I just want to make sure, Mr. Slaughter, you finished with your?
Yeah, that covers all my questions. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Norquist. Appreciate it.
Mr. Kissel?
Sure.
Please.
So that, basically, this is covering commercial, industrial, home, apartments, institutional, and now, what is it now, when they put this together, it's whoever comes in first gets the location?
No, not necessarily, because part of attraction has always been a little bit happenstance. It's been, we want to get somebody, we need another business in, we need another business in. And people, if you were to go out and ask people, you would hear it. You know, we want Trader Joe's, we want this one, we want that one. Which is really, you know, I mean, that's aspirational, but we're not going to get a Wegmans. So our search, that question that you're asking, Councilman, is dependent on the analysis of several criteria. We want to make an educated approach towards businesses that we want to attract, and we have to have a reasoning about which businesses we want to attract.
I understand. Yes, I'm finished, yes.
Okay, Mayor?
Yeah, I think, Bob, one of the things that the stakeholders is important in this. This isn't just something council's a stakeholder. We're going to have different people come aboard, whether it's real estate, whatever you can see that can help. It's going to be comprehensive. It's not going to happen overnight. And everybody's going to be stakeholders, and it's going to take everybody, and certainly the council, to say this works.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a bunch of stakeholders involved and a study involved, and I think that's what it's about.
It is about that. It's broader because the stakeholders that are not directly involved as a stakeholder, there's the fringe around that, they'll be involved too. Community is going to be involved. I mean, they got to have great skills to get in front of the community and go through this, you know?
And
but
again,
they will.
And again, as those stakeholders come aboard, council will know all about that.
Absolutely.
Because of the report that these,
Absolutely.
as you are the stakeholders, come on.
Right, yeah. And
Well-
Mayor, my question was, I just want to make sure that we do a lot of work with the comprehensive plan, so I want to make sure that it's not ultimately replacing that, that it's going to be a valuable addition to that comprehensive plan.
1,000%, and that's one thing you'll be doing and looking at as we go along.
Thank you. I'll turn to Mr.
I think I would like you to know too that might be 3 years now, I'm not sure, 2.5, 3 years ago, the EDC at their own expense, and we paid $25,000 to a New York firm, HR&A, which is top of the line, to come down here and do an analysis, a SWOT analysis, if you're familiar with it.
Is that every year that's done? Or?
No, that was, but it can be, and it should be, after 2.5 years, yes, we're going to do it again. But
why do that then if we're getting this grant and having tip strategies come in?
No, he said they did that in the past.
Oh, okay, you're not doing that?
No, that was in the past.
Okay, got it.
But I just want you to know that in the past,
I got it.
2.5, 3 years ago, we did this with a firm.
Okay.
Only because we wanted to know what was the most important things stacked up on behalf of, to the mayor's point, stakeholders.
Understood.
I think we had about 50.
Do you want Mr. Wenzel to go next?
Yeah, and then I'll go down to
Joe.
Yep.
And we had.
Okay, let Mr. Wenzel ask.
Oh, yes.
Ask a couple questions.
So typically, when I see something like this, I go, okay, cool, we're gonna get some kind of plan, and then all of a sudden, nothing's gonna happen, right? So that's my initial feedback, is we're gonna pay taxpayer dollars to do that, which now we're not doing that, it's Grant and, you guys.
But
which
we're not
is-
paying taxpayer dollars.
Correct.
These funds are the EDC funds, which are a product of our investments.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, even if it was or it wasn't, we don't want to your point, misappropriate
Yeah.
any spendings for something that was sit on the shelf. And I think when I started speaking,
Yeah.
I mentioned about a non-shelf
Yeah.
document. In the contract with TIP, it's noted that it's designed for implementation.
Mhm.
They engage from day one with implementation as they move forward.
As a
Yeah.
goal.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Ms.
to go with that, right? So they do this. What's the turnaround time for them to do this? Like, when would they start?
Well, we were speculating that they would finish in December, but that was predicated on them starting in March. So I would say we're going to end up in Q1 of next year.
So my concern is with this, not that it matters a whole lot, but they come back and they say, to revitalize and revamp Bensalem, we need to develop the mall, develop Armstrong property, put in bike lanes, put in sidewalks, right? Now, a lot of that stuff's not, it's a realistic feature, but at the same time, without developers, we can't handle that. The township's not buying property and building buildings on it. So, like, I see some value in here. I don't personally see a whole lot of value in this. At no cost to the taxpayers, that's fine, we can go for it, but if we do this and their pinpoints are come back and say, based on historic data, Bensalem thrived in the 90s and early 2000s with a thriving mall, so redevelop the mall. Bensalem thrived with X, Y, and Z. The population of Bensalem has went up and we need more sidewalks and bike lanes. Okay, cool. So we do that, sidewalks and bike lanes. Okay, so are we going to do that? Because that's going to cost taxpayers a whole lot of money to put bike lanes and sidewalks everywhere unless we can get a grant from the state to make that happen, right? So, there's some unrealistic things I feel that are going to happen with this because they're going to give us a plan, but the plan is contingent on a lot of variables. That's my concern. If the mall doesn't get redeveloped, like they say, develop the mall never gets redeveloped, then what do we do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's too many things here.
Mr. Norgis, do you want to respond to
I've
that?
already held their feet to the fire on that point. I don't want them to tell me I'm wearing a blue shirt tonight. Don't want that. Right from the get-go, there's an understanding that, for example, I asked them the question, if we have a mall that's owned by somebody who lives remotely, it's a cash cow farm, not taking care of maintenance, they could give a damn about anything. How do we get them to change? That's what I want to know. I don't want to know that it needs to be changed. I want to know how do we pressure them. And I gave you one story about leverage, and that's what it's going to boil down to, I think. That's my personal
So not only is it going to identify areas of redevelopment, but it's also going to help to point direction in terms of how we effectuate that redevelopment.
It has to be.
Okay.
It just can't, we know better than anybody what needs to be done. We want to know how to do it. And one other caveat is the necessity of the mall. The mall is the property where the mall was is something that can create a new standard. And that's what is important in something like this, is we want the standard to be improved. Every time we do something, we want because that's going to intimidate the rest of the community.
Understood.
Deservedly so.
Agreed. Yep. Mr. Wenzel, did you have any further questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Knoll.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, like Mr. Sloan, I respect your effort, and thanks for staying late here, And I do think the EDC is a great organization with many business people who know about business. And I think that this company you picked is probably very good, But I do actually like the name Tip Strategies, because I think this is going to be tips for us, okay? But I'm not having the concern of Mr. Wenzel. You do understand that if the study says we need to do certain things, and even if the EDC is enthusiastic about it, but the administration and council has to also agree that we're doing these things. It's not a mandate that we have to do these things. These are going to be suggestions and tips of how they think it would be best for us to move forward, but the community of Bensalem and the mayor and the council, whoever council it is by the time the study gets done, but the council is going to have to agree that these are steps that hey, this is a good idea. And we can learn, and we'll learn good ideas, and maybe we'll take some but not take others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, and
Yeah.
and I think that I might sound a little redundant in this sense. And where the mayor said stakeholders, the council is a stakeholder.
Yes.
The township administration is a stakeholder. If you're in it from the beginning, you have a voice. And you can express the concerns that you've raised tonight. You can expect that they're going to give you a satisfactory answer. If not, we're stuck.
Okay.
And if we're stuck, we have to push until we move forward again. And that's my MO.
Yeah, overall, I'm fine with it. I just want to understand that this is not a mandate that they're going to give us. This is going to be a suggestion and a work along that gives us a lot of great ideas and a lot of thought pattern about what we should do for the future. And hopefully we'll learn a lot from this and be able to move forward.
Yes, and it's a credible company who deals with it all the time.
Councilman Knowles, any additional questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to, one last final thought with Mr. Pizzo, any added comments that you wanted to throw out there before I turn it to council?
No, the resolution before you this evening was submitted to us by the solicitor to the EDC. I've had an opportunity to review it. It's perfectly fine if council is of a mind to adopt it.
Have you seen the language of the grant?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But it is my understanding that consistent with the resolution, that the township is not obligated to provide any funding should the grant be awarded. And as is true of any grant that might be awarded by the state. Well, once it comes through, if for whatever reason, were the township involved, the township would always have the ability to say yes, say no, what have you. But in this case, the grant application is through the EDC. All you're doing is telling the state you're on board.
So conversely, then, let me just ask the question, if the grant is not awarded, I'm assuming we are executing an agreement with TIP Strategies based off of the contingency of the grant being approved, and if it's not approved, then we would have no financial requirement or obligation to TIP Strategies. Is that correct?
Well, when you're saying we,
yes, the EDC.
It's the
the
EDC.
contract is between the EDC and TIP Strategies. The township is not a party to the contract. It is not a signatory to the contract. So
We're not going to execute any contract until we know.
Got it. Okay, that was what I wanted to know. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Makes me feel good that he put the last paragraph 4 in there. Nothing in this resolution shall be considered as obligating the township to expand funds unless until such expenditures are separately organized by the township council in accordance with applicable law.
I understand that, but
So-
I'm just looking on the behalf, I want a clarification
No, I
from
think
a
it's good
township
you did that. I'm
perspective.
just trying to support you.
Yep, understood.
I'm not
Yep.
arguing with you.
And-
Yep, no,
and
no,
at some
I'm not
point, you
taking
may
that.
want to contribute funds to this.
Yeah, we may
but
want to do something later, but we
At
have
some point,
to be a
right.
separate vote.
Yep,
At
okay.
at the moment, you're obligated to nothing. You're
Thank
just
you.
showing your support.
Thank you very much. Council, I'll turn your pleasure on adopting the resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution expressing support for the Bensalem Economic Development Corporation engaging TIP Strategies to develop an economic revitalization plan for Bensalem Township.
I will second that emotion.
There is a motion and a second to
I
approve
got the motion.
a motion and a second to approve the resolution naming Bensalem Economic Development Corporation engaging TIP Strategies. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, Mr.
Well,
Norquist.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Certainly
Thank you, sir.
appreciate your time this
And,
evening.
I can pledge to you tonight that we view this as probably one of the best things and the biggest things that we could do as a group.
Mr. Norquist, let me add, we look forward to hearing an update on it.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening. Okay. I'm going to move the agenda through. Any public comment? Any public comment? I see there's two, nope, okay. All right. All right, no public comment. I'm going to close public comment portion. Other business, I'll go around the room. Mr. Worsta.
Yes, I heard it was someone's birthday today.
It is.
Who's?
I don't know.
Today it is?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Posters and put them all around.
Deb, do you have anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Knowles?
No, but the other flyers, wouldn't
I think it's time.
Deb seems like she would know.
But it's important game today, you know? No, I just, I appreciate all your handling this, and I think we did a good job, and I'm looking forward to this study, and I think we'll learn a lot. I just wanted to make sure, I mean, he's gonna be enthusiastic coming back and say, this is what they suggested, you know, but we have to work together and make sure it's good for everybody.
Completely agreed. Yep, good
Thank
point.
you.
Yep, certainly. Councilman Wenzel?
No, but happy birthday to big guy over there.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Mayor Jeff.
I'll turn to Councilman Sloan.
Again, I want to thank everybody for, your patience and flexibility tonight. It was the Valley Elementary School spring band concert, and my son was playing, so I wanted to make sure that I could catch that.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
Yeah, I was
Cool.
there. I was there.
That's important.
But no, nothing else to add other than happy birthday, Mayor.
Oh, this guy.
Mr. Kisselbeck?
Yeah, I brought a cake for the mayor, but since I see another one, I'm going to take mine home and
We
eat it
got a
tonight.
cake for the mayor, yes. Before I give it to him,
Happy
Scott,
birthday.
anything?
Just happy birthday,
Happy
Mr. Mayor.
birthday.
Mr. Pizzo?
58 years old.
Not to put a damper on the birthday party, but the bodies of the other two iron workers who were killed in Wednesday's tragedy were recovered today. So just like to ask everyone to keep the families of those three individuals in their thoughts and prayers. And transition from that to happy birthday, Mayor.
Real quick, I have one item too as well. You can, hang on, I'm going to finish with you, Mayor, since it is your birthday. I wanted to be transparent with the board and the public. This past Friday, I met with the mayor, the director of public safety, and the director of admin to begin the proactive budget discussions, continuing the commitment that I shared at our first council meeting to work collaboratively with the administration. It was a productive and constructive conversation focused on alignment, long-term planning, and maintaining fiscal discipline as we look ahead to the future priorities here in Bensalem. So just wanted to let everyone know that. And lastly, if you want to pass this down, there you go. Mayor, since it's your birthday, final word.
How old you're going to
Final word on your birthday this evening?
I really thank everybody for that, really. I know you guys appreciate old age, so.
We do. Yep, and I think that cake says it.
And my wishes, and I mean it sincerely, all of you have the opportunity to have a good, long life and healthy life. And
189 is pretty good.
Bensalem's birthdays, do we all know how old Bensalem is? 1992 is our 300th birthday. So we celebrated that, so it's our 250th this year. State. So a lot of old stuff going on, and I'm sticking around, I hope, for a while. And I really appreciate that very much. And with that, I'm not going to, that's enough said. And thank you.
Happy birthday. Okay.
Thank
All right.
everybody.
Thank you. I'll ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
And
So
second.
moved.
Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
This is the best.